right, so it's Tuesday morning, and I spent last night again at Noam Bedein's house because Jerusalem is insane with traffic and parking. Because why?
Trump.
Yeah, President Trump is in Jerusalem, so I'm not. So now we are on our way to Sderot.
We're in Sderot in 2 seconds.
Yep. So almost there. So we're real close to the Gaza border again, and I'm really excited. This is only my second time at Sderot. It's been 5 years since I was here, and we're gonna have a great day.
We're here to see the changes. We're here to see the immediate changes on the ground of what does it mean Israeli resilience. And seeing this visually is something which is very powerful. Look straight ahead on the left side.
Oh my gosh!
Completely new complex, high-tech buildings.
Wow.
At the entrance of Sderot is completely new.
Huh? I'm shocked.
New. Look at this.
Yeah.
Amadox, one of the biggest companies.
That's it.
High-tech buildings.
What do they do? High-tech
I'm not
company?
sure what kind of high-tech.
Just a random computer company here?
Yeah.
Wow.
Something like that.
So
here we are
wait.
entering Sderot.
Yeah, I recognize it, but yeah,
We'll see in a second the amount of developments of this town. We not even believe what's been happening over
wow, back in Sderot. Love it.
Basically, all these new attachments, all these are the bomb shelters. I'm not sure what was then 5 years ago. I think they just started
They were
building
just
them.
starting, yeah.
Now everything here is developed. You can see these 3, 4, 5-story highs of bomb shelters attached to the older part of buildings.
That construction had just begun when I was here 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So because I know that they
arts things over here.
Yeah, wow. It's such a pretty little town. Look at those flowers and. Yeah, it's
usually,
funny. As a
we enter
different
the road,
feel.
we open up our windows just a little bit so we can hear any sirens.
So we hear
going off.
sirens, and we're supposed to have our seatbelts off, if I remember right.
Right, but let's just go start.
Yeah, cares. And then
still get a ticket for that.
Oh yeah.
And on the left side is a playground and a bomb shelter in the same frame with that beautiful purple
bomb shelter right there.
Leaves.
Yeah.
A whole new medical assistant
Absolutely.
clinic center.
That was not here.
Completely new. And check this out for children. Straight ahead.
Oh my gosh.
Beautiful, beautiful park.
This town is definitely built up when I was here. It also seems greener. Yeah.
Whole new park being built, and you can see at the edge behind that this weird construction over the schools, protecting it from rockets. So you have this beautiful built-up new school playground with this construction straight ahead over the school itself.
Yeah,
and that's the contrast we have over here, which does not make sense.
Right.
Having this development.
So I know that the high school when I was here, Thomas told me that that's like one big bomb shelter. So what's the purpose of that roof?
Yeah, well, each school year has a different type of protection over its classrooms.
This isn't the high school then.
No, this is
that's right. This is different.
This is where we filmed our 15-second video.
Okay.
Of children running for their lives.
Fruit stand there.
Look at the beautiful park areas.
Yeah, the town definitely has a more affluent feel.
And this is only the beginning, right? We just entered it, already feeling this.
So now this is
the new marketplace.
Yeah.
A whole new construction of the marketplace itself.
Wow.
Now we're gonna go straight to the edge of Sderot, facing Gaza, which is close to the Gaza Strip, and you'll be amazed what's happening over there right now. Absolutely amazed.
Yeah.
So check this out. We're going straight through Sderot. This is the center of the city.
The town is busier than when I was here 5 years ago.
Yeah, you have Ethiopian communities. Look.
Oh yeah.
Right side. So you have a diversity of Israeli public living right over here. Which is,
look at this. It's beautiful.
Look at this on the left side.
Yeah, I'm just shocked. So one of the points that Thomas made in 2012 is that Sderot's getting bombed from Gaza. So the families want to get out, but they can't because you can't even sell property here. But now 5 years later, we're seeing something the exact opposite. This place is getting built up. People are moving here.
And actually, the real estate went up over 120%.
Can we explain this? And this is still under rocket fire.
It's still under rocket threats.
True.
Even though people here understand it's not a question of if, it's a question of when is the next rocket escalation. This is the entrance, the western entrance to Sderot, less than 1 mile away from the Gaza Strip. Yeah. Check out how beautiful this entrance actually is. All this development, beautiful parks and greenery, and the way to walk through.
So like when I was here in 2012, that was during a period when any moment rockets could come in, which is still true today, but it's less likely.
This is why we have the windows pulled down just a little bit, just in case we have a siren going off. Look straight ahead, all this construction. They're building a huge park right over here. It's called also a neighborhood. It's called the Music Neighborhood.
Yeah.
And you sing this from the rooftop of the Hesder Yeshiva. We'll be seeing this later on today.
So
And now the construction. Look at this on your left.
wow, look at this.
This
yeah,
is the
that's
edge of
definitely not
Sderot.
there. Wow.
An entire new complex.
Pizza Hut. That's funny.
Yeah, you have a whole
Pizza
new
Hut
complex
and
of,
Sderot. Now wait a minute. Is Pizza Hut a bomb shelter? So if a rocket hits it, the
well,
pizzas-
technically, everything is new built that is built has a bomb shelter attached to it. That's
Right.
the regulations in Israel overall. But this is the entrance of Sderot,
Yeah,
and look at it. You have a whole new complex, marketplace, a whole
absolutely, definitely.
new
what's on here.
outlet mall over here. Look at this,
I'm
Mall
shocked.
7. Look at the left side. Look at this, on the
Yeah,
left side.
it's amazing.
Completely new.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll go inside for a second just to
Okay,
feel
please,
that.
please.
Just to feel this. This is completely new.
The economy's
Everything.
growing, yeah.
Everything is new over here. It's
And-
packed with cars.
See, so what's the word here that you were saying before? The R word,
Resilience?
resilience.
Resilience, yeah.
Because
This is
any
pure-
minute a rocket could come in here and look.
Sderot has been one of the most bombarded
stop people.
cities since World War II.
Yeah,
And look at this. Would you believe this? Seeing this with your
Yeah.
eyes.
it's amazing.
This encourages people
Modern
to
gas
move in
station.
here and to be a part of this community
Yeah,
and the development happening. This is literally facing Gaza. Literally
Wow.
facing Gaza.
I know it's right
And
here.
almost even
we're,
more
we're a mile
pop-
away from Gaza, right here.
Now see the
Hamas.
the national resilience is right over here. Look straight ahead.
That building.
Like, yeah, let's go see what this building is. We'll see.
Okay.
There's actually writing in it in English.
Okay.
This is the surprise that actually has shifted this entire region completely. This is considered, again, a suburban area, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now it is officially connected to the center of Israel, to Tel Aviv.
Sderot Station. Is this
This is the train station.
a train station? You guys
The
have a train
first and
station now.
only protected, rocket-proof train station in Israel, facing
Wow.
Gaza.
Probably in the world, I would think. Maybe.
I don't know the word, but I remember in London they have, that's where
So-
everybody
so first
was taking
rocket.
cover.
Oh, that's true.
During
World
the
War II. Good
Blitz,
point. Yeah.
Taking cover in the
Good point. So this
Subways over
is
there.
the first rocket-protected train station in Israel.
The
That's got
fact-
your own train station.
Yeah, so
I'm
the
shocked.
fact this takes you 45 minutes to 1 hour.
Because
to Tel Aviv.
Israel's not going to build a train
It's-
station unless an economy is growing and booming.
Right, and there's a
So-
lot of encouragement to move out here because the center's very crowded.
Right.
And just seeing the growth, and there's actually a waiting list. There's actually a waiting list to move in communities on the Gaza border.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, me and Adi, and Novi now, we're thinking to move back. And look at this. Look at these
What,
buses.
just a road?
Look at this. Look at this sign over here. It says Taglit, birthright. It shows
Oh.
that we started the whole thing of bringing young adults to here,
Right.
and this is a non-stop place.
Did you just say that you and Adi are thinking of moving?
We're moving to a kibbutz nearby here,
I think I know
which
the
is
kibbutz.
closer to the Gaza border.
South of here.
Right.
I've been to it.
It's close
Yeah,
to the Gaza
Thomas
border.
took me to it. Yeah.
Right, south.
I've been there.
And there's actually a waiting list. There's an
Wow.
actual waiting
So
list. to move into
5
this
years
kibbutz.
ago, I mean, basically there was a waiting list to get out of Sderot in this area, and now it's the opposite. And now, which to my viewers might give them the impression, oh well, things are safe now. But I mean, when I was up in the Golan yesterday, the Israeli, these were actually Israeli military intelligence officers said that as soon as this summer, so it's May right now, so we're talking about a couple months from now, they are expecting another full open war
Yep.
with Gaza. And what's going to happen here in Sderot if
In
not
entire
if but
southern
when
Israel, yeah.
and then the entire region when this next conflict happens, what's going to happen here?
Yeah, we know that for a fact that there are thousands and thousands of rockets in Gaza. The most sophisticated missiles are hidden inside the most civilian areas we can imagine in the Gaza Strip, which are the Shiva Hospital in Gaza. They still have the most. Look at this, another student bus over here.
Wow.
This is part of the work that
Yeah.
I'm proud to say that we've started this, bringing the next generation to Sderot to see
show.
firsthand.
Yeah. I
Very
love what
powerful.
I'm seeing here. I love the growth. I love the beauty of it. I love the the activity. Just seeing in spite of real rocket threat, people are here, they're living their lives, they look happy. I see prosperity happening here. Huh, it's inspiring. And I mean, the whole town's like one giant bomb shelter. Everywhere you
Bomb
look is-
shelter capital of the world. These are the
Yeah.
Basta bomb shelters.
Yep, bomb shelter. So they're ready, but they're
Yeah.
not leaving. They're coming.
Exactly. So the question is the bomb shelters.
Here's a bomb
Is
shelter.
it stopping rockets being fired?
Doesn't stop them being fired, of course not.
Is this undermining what became acceptable of rockets being fired towards civilian populations?
Well, it's a good point. That's a very good point. You know, how much do we want to accept it as the norm?
And it's a
good point. This is a
people
question
do
I
feel
ask.
safer,
Yeah.
but this has definitely not solved the roots of the problem.
This is a question I asked one of the Israeli military intelligence guys yesterday, which unfortunately, and I'm sure I'll mention this in that segment.
Excuse me one second. Look
Yeah,
at
go
this
ahead.
roundabout. You have all the different terror victims
Oh,
mentioned in this roundabout. Because it's something in Jewish tradition always to
all the people here
remember and to give them.
that have been killed by rocket attacks. So I asked this Israeli military intelligence guy yesterday up in this guy was actually closer to the Mediterranean, not in the Golan, but the Lebanon border area. But I said, so what's your guys' goal this time? The last 3 times you've confronted Hamas and Gaza, you just beat them back far enough to slow them down for a couple years from their ability to conduct war. When are we going to go in and actually solve the problem and take out Hamas? And, of course, the correct answer, what they said is, go ask Netanyahu. That's a policy decision, not one that they can make. But good point, right? like slow them down, but then when's the next round of rockets from Hamas?
And
So
this conflict that
all
which is part
political.
of our job is trying to explain this is an information media war, actually on the front lines of it.
yeah,
And when we lose that media battle, that pressures Israel not to solve the problem or the roots of the problem, and that's what
Right.
we're facing today.
right.
Because Israel's invested billions of dollars in protection, it's very hard for us to show physical damages or injuries when a conflict happens. While in Gaza, you had the exactly opposite story.
Oh yeah, buildings are completely knocked down, but here buildings are reinforced and protected and bomb shelters. So this is one reason why it looks so asymmetrical when there is a conflict. There's many casualties on the Gaza side, but very few here because you just said the Israeli government has invested billions of dollars to protect
And we
its
train
citizens.
children how to run a bomb shelters in
Right.
15 seconds, while the other side is exactly the opposite, teaching them to go on top of rooftops,
Right,
become a human shield because that looks good in the eye of the camera.
right.
And that's the differences of societies, of education, and it's exactly black and white in that aspect. But therefore the result is completely different, and therefore a bigger challenge to present this.
Right.
And that's our struggle until today.
Yep.
So again, just look around you. All these new additions, all of these are bomb shelters.
Yeah.
So it looks very normal.
It does.
Right?
This is like
Sounds like you
building.
pointed out.
I remember when this was under construction.
Everything
and
is
I
bomb
recognize the
shelter.
shape. Yeah. Of the.
And this is a unique project that's been done here like no other place in the country or in the world.
Wow. So this is.
Protecting the entire population.
So the parts of the building where I see windows, just on my viewers know, those are the bomb shelter areas.
Over 6,000 rooms of new bomb shelters were built up here, only in Sderot. Over, I would say, around $150 million only for Sderot for bomb shelters.
Wow.
I'll say $500 million for the western Negev, up to like 4 miles from Gaza.
Wow.
Have a bomb shelter today. So we're talking about huge amounts of funds
Yeah.
poured into protection, into offense, into defense, less on offense, and that's one of our problems today. We put in all this into defense
Right.
because we care about our people first of all, but the offense tools, which is part of what that we're doing, is not taken into consideration too much, and that's
Yeah.
a very big problem we have today.
So where are we right now, by the way? Where
This
we
is the
stopped
center
here?
of the city. We found parking over here.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna having a nice, delicious Moroccan lunch.
Yeah,
with
you've been
local
promising me
at
this
mom
for
and
months.
pop's shop.
Yeah.
So Ronnie here is up for a treat.
Oh, yeah. 2 months. Noam's been saying, "I'm going to take you to the Moroccan restaurant
It's
in
the only
Sderot."
place I eat in Sderot.
Okay, so here we go. See if it lives up to the hype.
Okay, let's get ourselves prepared. We should say one more thing.
Oh yeah.
One last thing, because this is we're marking 50 tonight. We're marking 50 years.
That's right. That
for
starts
United
tonight.
Jerusalem,
Yom Yerushalayim.
as well having here Trump in the region.
President Trump is here. Yes, right
this
now.
is technically a good strategic timing of firing rockets.
Right.
So we can never know.
Oh, that's true,
We can never know.
because President Trump is here. Today's meeting with Mahmoud Abbas in Bethlehem. But that's a very good point that during this period, you and I talked about this before, that this is a typical time that we would see rocket fire begin from Gaza, et cetera, and then violence in the West Bank. So Noam and I, we know that our wives are concerned for our safety. So he and I have come up with a specific plan should rockets begin, raining down in the city. What's the plan, Noam?
It's getting any phones, any cameras we have next to us. And
we're gonna chase them. So we're gonna.
And I actually remember. It's funny. I was actually remembering yesterday that I remember 40 years for Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm.
We had dozens of rockets fired.
Really?
So
the threat of rocket attack is kind of higher today than usual. Yep. And if it happens,
we should be prepared. That's the one thing we can.
Love you, ladies, but we're chasing those rockets with our cameras.
So
you know us.
It's our obligation. It's showing the truth.
It is,
and also exposing live miracles happening over here.
Yeah, that's right.
That's part of what is it we're doing here. This is the front lines of it all, really.
That's right.
So, let's start our day.
Let's go get some food.
And this used to be the media center, if you remember.
Yes, I thought I recognized this neighborhood.
And then it's like a burger place.
Yeah, now it's a burger place. I remember this was the original Sderot
It was the most strategic place during installation.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cars.
Totally remember.
Head-ons coming up.
Yeah. Yep, I've been there. And that's a burger joint, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, looks nice.
This is the Gaza War.
Yeah. Wow.
But I'm going to the media center. But at least they're coming to the
But they're coming, but you guys started that whole process, yeah.
We started it.
So that was the original Sderot Media
Like I
Center.
said, that's why people look at me like this, because they were not used to seeing buses of tourists.
Right.
Coming down here.
Okay, so this is the famous Moroccan restaurant that Noam promised me. So this is it, huh?
This was it.
All right.
Place.
I think this is my first Moroccan food
Come
ever.
our people over here.
Uh-huh.
Our Moroccan grandparents.
Okay, I love the spot. So cute. It's all set up. And all right. See what we got. Morning, Boker Tov. I love it.
This is Rachel.
You love it?
Yeah, I mean, I already love it. Have you tasted the food yet? So.
You know, it must eat something. It's only look and...
Yeah, right there.
מה באת להגיד להם? בשורות טובות, בשורות
I think they know each other.
טובות. בדרך, נכון?
Alright, so Noam had this great idea that he and I would get here early and pig out before the kids got here, but good morning. How are you? Table. Don't worry, I'm with you guys. So I think this group. You guys are Hasbara, right? Yeah, you're with us. So the kids have arrived. Awesome. Oh, look like a nice bunch. So this is a Hasbara. This is a Jewish organization in the U.S. You guys are from America and Canada,
Yes,
right? What's your name?
America and Canada. I'm Sophia.
Sophia, Ryan.
Nice to
meet you. Yeah, welcome. What's your name? Somebody else shake my hand. David, I'm not going to remember your names. Ethan, okay, I'm Ryan. Yeah, nice to meet you. Yeah, so, and you're from, where are you from?
I'm from New York and I go to Emory University.
Okay, cool. You?
From Washington, D.C., but I go to Emory.
Okay.
I'm from Philadelphia, but I go to McGill.
You said there were Canadians here. We haven't met them yet.
He goes to McGill.
Is that Canada?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh, Montreal. Okay, gotcha. So yeah, there we go. So two nations represented, and they come here to learn about Sderot and the situation on the ground here. So we're gonna show them around today. So eat some food first. So hopefully there's some food left for us guys. Kids we go right in there. Shalom.
Who's this random guy filming us?
Yeah, exactly. Better give him a heads up. So, Donald Trump, President Trump, is at Yad Vashem Holocaust Museum with Prime Minister Netanyahu, paying his respects at Yad Vashem. And day after tomorrow, I'll be there. I'm getting a private tour from Adi, Noam's wife, who works at Yad Vashem, and she was so excited about President Trump coming to Yad Vashem today because she got the day off. So she'd rather have a day off than meet the president. But I get it. She has a baby. So now we're at the Sderot police station. I remember this place, 2012.
Going to a
Oh, those actually fit on you. They look so stupid.
All right, guys. As we go in, please be quiet. This is a working office space. Guys,
So we're going to go underground here to start the
working
presentation.
office space. So as we go down, please be quiet. All right, this is the control center for the entire city of Sderot. There are people working here, so be as quiet as possible. Respect their space.
Welcome to my crib. Is this my Oscar? Oh, no. Middle East style.
more stairs.
So I believe that we're entering the command center for the whole city of Sderot. And I'm assuming I'll be allowed to film down here.
Actually, probably
Okay, bathrooms are back over there. Guys, whoever wants a bathroom, bathrooms back over here, okay? Wait a couple more minutes.
So this is part of the police operations here in town, obviously, and this is how they keep track of what's happening in the city here. Oh, no filming. Okay, sorry. Stick on.
If right now we have a siren going off, it's a loudspeaker with a woman's voice singing in Hebrew. It says Adon, which means call red with alerts. Being here, we're underneath the ground, so we're more or less protected. Around the city, we have these bus stop bomb shelters scattered throughout the entire city itself. By the way, whoever's coming up in the bathroom, I just reminded to get in the security briefing again, so to be alert. You'll be seeing me, so the fact that you guys are here means you have all the security relations of being here today overall, but this is a good timing while I go like this, timing because you just really never know. Strategic timing in terms of a 50 years for Jerusalem. Also, Trump visiting over here. It's a good timing to be firing rockets. You should just be aware of that. And it's amazing for me, actually. I just literally remember yesterday, it hit me. That I remember 10 years ago being here for the 40 years for Jerusalem. It was 2 weeks of complete bombardment. We had like 300 rockets exploding to Sderot in 2 weeks. That was my most intense times of being here at the beginning when I just moved over here. Chasing these rockets, going from house to house. It was a pretty extreme kind of situation. I'll be telling more about my personal stories and experiences over here overall. So we start with that opening briefing. Again, just to explain, living here 1 mile away from the Gaza Strip, less than 1 kilometer away, it's trying to explain that once the rocket is being fired from Gaza towards Sderot in the whole western Negev, we have more or less 15 seconds or less to run for our lives. Okay, so with this again, optimistic briefing, welcome to Sderot. Quite experience the next couple of hours or so to get across this very powerful, unique human story living here on the Gaza border. Okay, we're seeing today how so relevant this actually is to us until today. The last time we had a rocket attack was 2 weeks ago towards the western Negev, towards the Ishkol region. It was like 20 minutes, half an hour away from here. Overall, here in Israel, the daily news broadcasts, today I mentioned it once in 2 weeks, once in 3 weeks, how 2 Qassam rockets fell nearby Sderot or near Ashkelon. No damages, no injuries, no harm done. Maybe 2 people treated for shock. Moving on to the weather report. Let's start with this most basic question here right now. How do you guys, being on the other side of the world, how do you guys get the information about Israel? Or about the conflict? What would you guys tell me overall?
Why not?
Why not? Okay, what else?
Facebook.
Jerusalem Post. Facebook. What else? Times of Israel. Twitter. Okay, again, I start with this. Remember this basic question. Everything starts with that basic question. What do we know today? Think about it for a second. What we know today. on the other side of the world is usually what we hear, see, and read it. Through media elements, this became our perspective outside on reality. And what's the called bubble? The question is, can those 5 seconds of reading, being under rocket fire, can this give us an understanding? What does it mean? Anxiety or trauma? This whole human side of the stories I mentioned are understood through media elements. This became a very big challenge, sometimes in 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes or half an hour, when we host diplomats, foreign press, and mainly student groups that come from the entire world to explain how unique this actually is, having an entire population been under rocket fire and threat, at the same time how deep this actually goes, and what happens here on the ground impacts throughout the entire world, and first-hand experience. Explain to you guys, going back to college campuses, how this is relevant until today, and we see how deep this actually goes. Okay, so without even going further, let me show you guys a short video called 15 Seconds. It's a very intense, short video, showing how surreal this can actually get, being under rocket fire. That's the purpose, of showing how intensively this can actually get. You'll be seeing your live footage that I personally took, most of it, also, and different staffers that we had. If it's documenting children the first day of school, a couple of years ago we went to the school. We knew that something's going to be happening that morning. On the way to school we had sirens going off. We'll be hearing the siren going off in the video. I guess that's Tseva Adom, color red. And we have like 7 explosions into the town. Okay, and we filmed the children running for their lives into the school itself. This footage was broadcast around to the world for the first time through Fox News, CNN, BBC. Even in Israel, the first time the newspapers wrote about what does it mean to have 15 seconds or less to run for your life. Okay, so again, I start with this video just showing how intense, how surreal this actually can get. We start with this, just to explain where's it actually sitting right now. You can turn off the lights behind you over there. Anyways, I had a half an hour presenting 8 years being under rocket fire. I was the only one from Israel to testify. Anybody hear about the Goldstone report? The Goldstone Commission? This is the UN fact-finding mission on the Gaza conflict after the Gaza war, the first Gaza war in January 2009. For 3 summers, it was our 3rd military operation in Hamas and Israel in the past 8 years. This is our 5th ceasefire as we speak, having hundreds of rocket attacks during ceasefires, by the way. I had a very short, limited time to present what's the Israeli side of the story, presenting up to 1 million Israelis in southern Israel. Check out this short video, also presenting the very powerful Israeli narrative, the Israeli experience of being under rocket fire, and showing the routine of children, how do they actually react being under rocket fires. So check this out. So these are 2 kindergartens that were hit during summer vacation, summer vacation 2007, almost 10 years ago. These are the playgrounds behind the kindergarten. This is the Qassam rocket. We sing later on the different types of rockets, over 20 types of rockets, different colors. They indicate the different terrorist organization. An impact of one rocket can reach a radius of 100 meters. That's around 300 feet of complete damage. Shrapnel goes through almost anything that's possible. Now, it's because it went directly into the ground, it did not have a shrapnel splash. And because these are the names of the kindergartens, now because no children were in the kindergarten, because this is summer vacation, so no physical damages, no injuries, no harm done, is to not get any kind of news reports whatsoever. And you have curious children, they come to see what just happened. The first casualties of rockets actually were children under the age of 5 being under rocket fire first thing in the morning. Then they follow a security officer with a rocket in his hand. Then they go back to the place where the rockets exploded. They pick up the shrapnel and the pieces like a marble collection. This is Kibbutz Sada. Kibbutz Sada is a closer kibbutz on the Gaza border. These are the protections over those kindergartens, those thick concrete. So we sing this as we travel around. Very visual, we sing this.
ממש היו בכוננות כזו, היו כאן ילדים, היו רואים אותם מכינים מיגון בחצר, היו חופרים, כן, ממש היו ערוכים, מתכוננים וערוכים לצבע האדום, אבל היום, ברוך השם, בכל בגלל שזה פחת בזמן האחרון, זה פחת, ברוך השם.
Okay, this is a siren going off. Check out the children in the background. I don't know exactly where to run for shelter. This is happening live, yeah?
Was this just a drill night, or this is?
This is happening live.
What's that?
This is live happening.
This is actually. Wow, it's a freaking thing.
Somebody here from San Diego by any chance? Oh, wow. Very nice. Where'd you go, Sally? What town is on the borders with San Diego?
Mexico.
Okay, it's one town.
What town?
Tijuana. What's your name? Talia. Talia, why don't you tell me what the reaction would be if only one rocket you fired from Tijuana towards San Diego, what the response would be?
The nation would be in.
Well, the truth is, today after the very emotional elections you guys have been through, no even a reason to be answering that right now. But overall, you see for yourself having a very unique situation. No country in the world will tolerate even one rocket being fired towards its territory. The fact we have over 24,000 in the past decade being fired towards Israel's sovereignty cities. A lot to explain how deep this actually goes. How it's basically bringing up so many different elements we didn't even think about, like I said, all the way to the extent reflecting back to ourselves. We'll talk about that, how deep that actually is. Okay, so but before we go on, there's a lot more to discuss. I just want to introduce our guest who's joining us today. We have our good friend, Pastor Ryan Speakman from Lake Havasu, Arizona. And he's going to introduce himself for a second.
And you can film me now.
Okay.
You know how to work that thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Noam said, my name is Ryan Speakman. I'm a pastor, Christian pastor, evangelical. Some of you asked that. That's like the kind of non-denominational, kind of liberal branch of Christianity. Liberal meaning we don't wear the weird priestly garments and all that weird stuff. But I'm a associate pastor at it's called Living with Family Church in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. How many of you know Lake Havasu? I know the San Diego people do. Big spring break spot. I have a ministry. It's called These Final Days Ministries. which sounds ominous and creepy and all that, right? So what I do is I specialize in the biblical concept of the end times. One interesting thing that I notice is that in America, Jews don't seem to think a whole lot about the end times. It just isn't on the radar. But I notice that my Israeli friends, it's big with most people in Israel. I notice most religious Jews, they're looking at what the Bible talks about the end times, and they see what I see, which is that we're in it. It's happening now. So I have a lot of different things I focus on, but Israel, of course, is a central focus to what I teach. And yeah, the Messianic age, you guys are familiar with that, Moshiach and all that, yeah. Coming soon, or my persuasion, coming back soon, right? One thing we disagree on. But he's coming in any event. So like I say, Israel is a central topic of mine, central focus, not just the past and the future, but in particular the present. So I'm really focused on the conflict, what's happening here, not just the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, but the conflict between Israel and the entire rest of the Middle East, the conflict between Judaism and Christianity, and then the Islamic world. Okay, so we see this, really getting stirred up, and ultimately it's a clash of civilizations. And again, this is really the end time story. So I have a Facebook page, about 15,000 followers, YouTube channel, which you will all be on. Is that okay? Anyone here wanted by the FBI, or so you're all good? Okay. This is why you'll have my camera in your face all day. So, and I teach at my church, of course. I teach different groups around the country, mainly around Arizona, and I'm on the radio a lot and things like that. So I've been in ministry now for about 19 years. I love doing it. But so Noam and I actually, it's very similar what we do. So this is my third time in Israel, only my second time in Sderot. So I was here in 2012, and Noam was up in Norway at the time. So one of his guys, Tomas, showed me around Sderot. We spent the whole day together, about 8 hours. And I remember one point we're standing on Kobe Hill, which you guys will be on today, I think, right? Kobe Hill, near there, looking into Gaza. We're like right there next to Gaza. Off in the distance, you see the minarets, and it's kind of hazy. And I'm thinking, my gosh, like we're right next to Hamas territory, Gaza, And it freaked me out, to be honest. It was like, I was kind of nervous being there. And a few months later, Noam came to America, came to Arizona, and we spent a few days together. I organized a presentation for him with my whole community there. And then I took him up the Grand Canyon on the drive. He said, that as an American Christian pastor, you can probably get into Gaza, which is impossible, right? I thought he was teasing me, but he was telling the truth. So immediately, the next day, actually, I started to Google it, and sure enough, I found an organization that goes into Gaza. So I'll tell you more about that, later. I'll be giving a presentation to you guys. And long story short, I was scheduled to be in Sderot in 2014, but instead I went into Gaza for 3 days. So I've been there, done that. It's freaky. So later I'm going to show you guys some pictures. I'm going to tell you about what it's really like in Gaza. So Noam just showed you some pictures of what you see in the media, what Gaza looks like. Bombed out buildings, and everyone's crying, and I'm going to show you something different. It's surprising. So yesterday I was up in the Golan. Did you guys go up there? Yeah. Last week, right? So we hooked up with a group that was able to get us onto 3 different Israeli military intelligence bases, which is one of the most amazing experiences of my life. It was also torture because no cameras. So they actually confiscated even our cell phones before we came in. So I'm going to make up for it today. I'm going to film the heck out of today. But anyways, it came up about Gaza. So what I'm going to show you guys today, just completely impromptu, but several in the intelligence, military intelligence, asked to see my stuff. So I actually showed them what I'm going to show you. They're very, very interested in it. But I hope you guys enjoy it. And any questions for me? Or I think I told you everything. My favorite food is chicken shawarma. Oh, I have a wife and an 8-year-old daughter. Sorry, I gotta do this. Oh, come on. I'm one of those guys that, I'm a computer programmer but don't know technology. So this is Pam and Skylar, my wife and 8-year-old daughter. Yeah, somebody say or something. Oh, they disappeared. So anyways. All right, any questions for me, or we good? All right, we'll talk more later. Thanks, you guys.
Guys, do you guys have the sign-up sheet going?